our first guest. He is the treasurer of the state of West Virginia, Mr. Larry Pack. Good morning, sir. How are you?
Great. Good morning. Glad to be here.
Great to have you in the Eastern Panhandle. What brings you to our turf, sir?
Well, I like to spend a lot of time in the fastest growing part of the state. I think it really helps me understand what's going on out here. But today we're going to spend time with a lot of different folks. But maybe start with you. Start with Procter & Gamble. Go out to Shepherd University. Got a couple other stops along the way. Dinner with some of the local delegates. So it's going to be a good day.
You hang out with Mr. Hornby recently?
Dinner with delegates Hornby and Height last night. So it was a good time. We talked a little politics and a little bit of fellowship. So
did you go up in his plane?
Did not go up in a plane. No, we stayed down low in Mexican land, so we're all good. Had a good dinner.
Well, very nice. If you had an evening with Hornby and Height last night, then you've got some stories to tell, most of which you probably can't tell.
Cannot tell. About 10, 15 years, we'll get back together and we'll share some of those stories.
Yeah, they're a great couple of guys. We spent a lot of time with them, obviously, here at the station. Mr. Hornby is the owner of this establishment as well. And Larry, you will be at Shepherd today, too.
Yes. Looking forward to that. They've got a lot of improvements going on in Shepherd University, things that I worked on when I was with Governor Justice over the last couple of years. So I'm looking forward to seeing the progress, seeing what's going on. And it's all about helping Shepherd to be competitive, to have the resources and tools necessary to continue to educating our children.
Yeah, and you're headed over to Procter & Gamble today. Have you been to that plant yet?
Have not. Again, another one of those things I worked on in the Justice Administration. Worked on a lot, but I have not been there. So really excited to be able to see the jobs, the investment in West Virginia. It's absolutely astounding what they've done and what they brought to West Virginia.
Yeah, it's an impressive facility. I think you'll be very happy.
I'm quite sure. I'm very excited about it. Absolutely.
Yeah. What type of improvements were you involved in with Shepherd University?
A lot of it related to they needed more facilities for dining. I think that was one of the things that really kind of started it. But then they had deferred maintenance. So I think it was about $15 million. It could have been a little bit more. So really excited to see what it is. But Shepherd is a big economic driver in this area. At the same time, we want to make sure that we keep our colleges competitive, our universities competitive with surrounding states. They have to compete in the D.C. market, and they just need more money, and their physical plant has been underfunded, so we're glad to help.
Yeah, how is the university system in the state of West Virginia financially at this moment, Larry?
Financially, I think it's strong, but we're absolutely fighting enrollment in West Virginia, really across the nation. Right, people are having less children, right, per couple. So there are less children going to college all around our country, and that's one of the things we're really struggling with. So we have some universities that have an increase in enrollment. For example, Marshall University, I think Concord University have an increase in enrollment. Most of the other ones have some sort of decline. So we're still trying to do that. They're also trying to adjust as the type of subjects, type of majors they have. So you see a lot of transformation happening in our university system. Some universities are moving faster, some are moving a little bit slower. But it's really interesting to see how it is transforming. I think from the state legislature standpoint, from the state government standpoint, we're continuing to fund it at the levels that we've done for many years. So there's no pullback on that. But at some point we may have to talk about maybe changing things and so forth. But again, I think Marshall University is really leading the charge of a lot of the things that they're working on, a lot of things that they're doing. But it is an interesting time, not only in higher ed, but also in public ed.
Well, the more Shepherd brings students in from the D.C. area, I know so many people that grew up down there and ended up here because they went to Shepherd, loved the area, and stayed. So it's a good driver for bringing people into the state also. I mean, it's a fabulous university, and the facilities are great. I think they could do more with trying to get students from Northern Virginia to come out here and see how wonderful West Virginia is.
Well, that is their plan, and I think their marketing plan they really moved on the last couple of years is to market deeper into the D.C. Market. But you're exactly right. When people come to West Virginia, whether it's the university system or just tourism, we're seeing more and more people move to West Virginia. So we have a really good story to tell. But we see that a lot at Marshall, and we definitely see that at West Virginia University, but all around the state.
Well, I mean, I grew up in Arlington, Virginia, about 5 minutes from Reagan Airport, moved out here 29 years ago. We came out for a weekend to see Harper's Ferry and what were the outlets. We were like, wow, we're staying.
Absolutely.
And we moved out very soon. But the economic development is so important in the Eastern Panhandle just because we are the engine that's driving the state at this point.
No question. 3,000 or 3,500 additional people moving in every year is just astounding.
So let's talk about the economy a little bit. The big news now is the big, beautiful bill trying to get through Congress by July 4th. And there's a lot of rumors, positive, negative. I don't know how dialed into this you are, but the rumors, the bad side of the rumors that we're hearing are big Medicaid cuts, which would have a huge impact on West Virginia, and just general funding cuts, which West Virginia lives on the largesse of the federal government to a great deal, to a great degree. Do you have a finger on the pulse of how this is going to affect us positively or negatively?
Well, again, following it very closely, working mostly with senators and some of our congressmen, but really concerned about the Medicaid cutback. So they're talking about really two different ways of doing it. One is to roll back eligibility to either pre-COVID or even pre-Obamacare times. That would reduce the amount of folks that would be eligible, and that would bring more uncompensated care into the healthcare system, more uncompensated care for the hospital. So we're worried about that. But the other part is we do a lot of funding. We get our 25% match by mostly by provider taxes. In other words, we tax the hospitals, nursing homes, and people pay taxes in. We use that for that. We do that at about a 6% rate. Overall, that's the max you're allowed to do. Congress is talking about moving that down to 3.5%. That will have a significant impact on our budget if that's the way it ends up. And that's some of the articles I read about yesterday. Matter of fact, my son is covering Capitol Hill, and I noticed in one of the articles he wrote for a Daily Caller, it had that. So we're just going to have to see what happens. I do believe the bill will pass somewhere in the next couple of weeks. It is an absolutely expansive bill that covers just so many parts of our economy, so many parts of our government. It is going to be one of those bills that we're going to pass it, and we're going to find out over the next 2 months what's really in it. So we have to really watch, see what's in it, and then we'll have to adjust in West Virginia.
What do we project the impact? We're also an older population in West Virginia.
Yes.
So when it comes to nursing homes and that for elder care, the Medicaid cuts in particular are concerning there as well. What's the fallback plan? What's Plan B?
I don't think we have a fallback. The way Medicaid works is it is so driven by the federal government, not only the funding, but also what we do and how we do it. So what we're hoping is that if they do give us substantial cuts, that they're going to give us substantial flexibility on how to manage the program. If they give us cuts without changing how we manage the program, that's a really big problem. So we just have to really look and see. But I know our senators, our congressmen, they're trying to give us more flexibility. Our governor wants more flexibility on how we deliver services and what type of services. But you can't get there by just reducing services. If they do this substantial cut, we'll have to do there'll be some provider decreases, which really will impact not only our nursing homes but also our hospital systems. So we have to watch it very carefully.
Are those changes in the bill, or is that a pivot that has to be made after the bill?
West Virginia, as far as the state, we can't pivot until after the bill, after we see exactly what's in it. We can't really plan for something of that magnitude. It could take a few $100 million out of our state budget. So this is something that we'll have to deal with after. All states will have to deal with it after. It really hits the southern states a little bit more. We have more poverty, so therefore we have more people that are covered by Medicaid than other parts of the country, and that's also part of the friction in Congress. So if you're out west, they don't have a lot of folks on Medicare. They're fine with the Medicaid cuts. If you're more in the southeast, you have more people and you're fighting harder. So we're working hard. Senator Capito, Senator Justice, they're working hard to try to get this in. And so I see articles going back and forth from day to day. We're just going to have to see what's in the final bill.
Because we have one of the largest population percentages on Medicaid in the country. I mean, we're way higher than most. Can the providers in the hospitals handle a cut in what they're paid, though? I mean, we're already losing providers in the state. The hospital systems are not making a lot of money. I mean, can WVU say take a 5 or 10% cut on Medicaid because we have they're just so many of their patients are on Medicaid?
The reason I think we have more population on Medicaid than any other state is we're the only state that's all in Appalachia, right? So we have more poverty than other states. So that's the why. So when it comes to provider cuts, some providers can take more than others, but it will have an impact, no doubt. So we'll just have to really wait and see what those numbers are, and it's really hard to tell because things are moving so quick in Congress.
Yeah, one of you guys has your phone volume on.
We're already struggling. I mean, losing providers in this state. I mean, it's already hard to attract providers. Where do you think it's going to fall? I mean, I know we don't have. I'm just asking for just a sort of a prediction. What do you think is going to happen? I mean, do you think we're going to be able to keep serving all these people? I mean, I know what happens when people, and I run a health insurance agency. When people fall off Medicaid, they go on the Affordable Care Act plans. And they get very, very low premiums, so they don't see it up front. But the problem with it, for those people who have no money, is they will then have co-pays, deductibles, a maximum out of pocket. And most likely they have anything major happen, they go to the hospital, they're not going to pay that bill anyway. And that's going to fall back on the hospital systems, WVU, et cetera.
Again, I spent 20, 25, almost 30 years in the healthcare business. So any substantial cut to Medicaid, to our providers, will have a huge impact, a very detrimental impact to our providers. So as a state, we'll have to prioritize how to make some of that up if we can't make it all up, which means we'll have to kind of maybe stop doing something else. But we can't put. I do not think we can put all the pressure on the providers, all the costs to the providers. But again, the way things go in D.C. And the way this particular bill is, this is basically the all-encompassing bill for the first 2 years of the Trump administration. So there's so much in it, and it's and the way and most of the discussions, most of the work is behind closed doors. So we don't know exactly what it is. But as a state in West Virginia, we can't cut enough people off in order to balance the budget, I think, with the cuts they're talking about. So we'll have to really do some serious calculations, some serious discussions on how to do it, how to impact it. But no doubt we'll have to make some adjustments at the state budget. But we can do that.
The Wall Street Journal is reporting this morning that the Senate has released their version that has even deeper Medicaid cuts to go back to the House.
Yes.
So
that's the concern. That was the articles that came out yesterday. And what I really got into, what I focused on, although I haven't calculated yet, if our provider tax is 6% and they're going to reduce it to 3.5%, that is a lot of money for West Virginia. I mean, it's in the hundreds of millions of dollars that we'll have to figure out how to handle.
And how about other government programs that sort of drive the engine of the West Virginia economy? Do we know about those cuts? I can't enumerate what they are because I frankly don't know what they are. I just know that they exist.
You haven't read the 8,000 pages of the proposed bill?
I'm only 4,000 into it. It's a barn burner. I mean, it's a great read, but
yeah, that again, we don't know. I think what we're trying to figure out is what's the thrust of the bill. What we've always seen in the past is in the past 20 years, like past generations, Washington talks about cuts, but they never happen, right? So we just kind of keep going on. So is this the bill? Is this finally where they say, okay, we're going to do something about it? We're going to start reducing money coming into West Virginia. The big things that would hurt us are the safety net stuff. So think SNAP, think Medicaid, but then also on the highway side. So are they going to do anything with highways? We don't think they are, but water, sewer, highways is a big part of what we do. There's a lot of federal money that comes in to the schools, public schools, and higher ed. So we're looking at that. I've talked to W and Marshall right now. The things they're not so worried right now. They think they can handle it. But again, we're just going to have to wait and see.
Treasurer Larry Pack, our guest here on the program. In addition to your concerns, I'm sure you've also heard the statement from President Trump that FEMA, after this year, is getting out of the state rescue business. It's going to be falling back to the states. We have the situation going on in Ohio County right now. We have a guest later on today who's headed down to North Carolina to help with the flood victims down there. West Virginia is prone to severe flooding of the natural disaster type. So this is where FEMA in the past has come in and been a big help. Are you concerned about that after 2026?
What I hear him saying on FEMA is that basically the money's still going to be there, but it's going to come for the states to decide. I think that would be great if the money would just come in the state and let us decide how to spend it and how to do it. We'll get out of some of the bureaucracy so we can make better decisions on the front lines. We can make them a lot quicker if we just have the access to the money versus waiting for people to come in from all across the country that don't know anything about West Virginia. So I think that part could be good. But again, it's all trying to figure out what is he really saying. So even when is he saying he's going to get rid of the federal bureaucracy, when we get the money, we're fine with that. Just like if he would say we're going to get rid of the education department in D.C., but the money's just going to come to West Virginia and we get to decide how to spend it. So we're just going to have to wait and see how it goes. I don't think that the FEMA part, I don't think they're talking about cutting the money. We have floods, other people have hurricanes, some people have tornadoes, but natural disasters is just a part of living on this earth, and those things will not stop.
What's the impact of this waiting game for the big beautiful bill? What's going to come and what's not going to come to Governor Morrissey's priorities? Is he kind of stuck in limbo for what his plans are for the state to some degree?
I think it's a little bit in limbo, but he got the budget that he wanted passed a few months ago. So that budget starts July 1. He's going to go into that budget year with about a $250 million surplus for the last, say, justice year. So he's coming back in a really good financial shape. From a balance sheet standpoint, West Virginia's in the best financial shape we've ever been in our history. So I think as far as big things right now, I think you have to, prudently you have to hold and see what's in this bill and see what's the impact. But some of the things he's talking about for special session this summer are things like PEIA. He's talking a little bit about school funding. Those are things we can handle. We can go ahead and discuss and figure out how to go forward on that. But if really big, major things happen in this big, beautiful bill that impacts us financially, we're definitely going to have to study that and then react to it.
Have you seen anything from what you've heard about the big beautiful bill that you believe will really benefit West Virginia?
I think if the money comes into West Virginia without the federal strings, that will benefit us. There is so much that we have to do. There's so many people that we have to hire to basically do all the paperwork for the feds, and they say you can have this, but you got to do that. For example, if we just got federal highway money, if all that money came in and we could just spend it on highways, we could do so much more with highways. But they got all this green stuff that you have to do, and sidewalk stuff, and all this stuff has. It's not necessarily bad stuff, but it doesn't have anything to do with paving roads and building highways. So the strings they put on us is just absolutely really burdensome. If that comes off, we still get the money, we'll be fine.
That's the first time I've ever heard anybody say the federal government, has too much bureaucracy.
Too much bureaucracy, and we need to kind of watch it at the state capitol level, because I think we have too much as well. We're not at their level, but we definitely overburden, I think, the counties and cities.
That's why I love being a small businessman, because we get an idea and we just do it.
Yes.
And sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't, but we do it. We can pivot on a dime. That would be frustrating to me, especially somebody in your position, where you can see so much and see, well, this would help the state. We could do this, this, and this, but then you're hamstrung.
It really is. After 40 years in business, 20 years CPA, 20 years roughly in the healthcare business, it's hard to get the state to move. And what happens with the state, government different than the businesses, the state they pass a bill this year, right? They never go back and look at that bill. Then they pass another bill next year, then another bill next year, another bill. Every time they pass a bill, there's more regulation, and it just layers on top of each other. And when you say, hey, I'd like to pull this one out that was done 10 years ago, it's really hard to get it out and get rid of it.
Isn't that the Rules Committee's job to do that, though?
It's a Rules Committee, but it's just, we don't, in state government, there's just no incentives, right? So the incentive structure is different. In business, we have to move. We have to make changes. We have to adapt. We never get to do everything we want to do, right? Because the market kind of tells us, our competitors tell us. So we move on our dime. We decide we go this way in the morning, so that didn't work out, we go that way in the afternoon. But government's not like that. So much in government is to protect whatever my silo is, to protect whatever my idea is. And it's hard to pull that back, and without leadership, without really focusing in on that, you just can't do that. And that's why, from West Virginia standpoint, we do so many things the private sector could do. We spent so much money on things the private sector, hospitals, nursing homes. We run lodges. We built a $60 million truck stop down in Beckley, West Virginia, that the private sector probably would have spent $15 on it and then paid property taxes. But it's all about growing your kingdom. So whatever agency, whatever commission you have, you want to make it bigger. And then every legislature has got something they like, right? Some park, some this or that.
Well, we've been doing a lot of research into PEIA and the money that's spent on seniors, people over 65, who could just be on Medicare, and I believe save the state a lot of money, and save the retirees a lot of money too. I know that's something that the state's hopefully looking at. Have you heard anything about that, about dialing PEIA back for Medicare recipients?
Again, that's something else I've been working on a lot. I worked on a lot, but just to kind of take it back up a little bit, is in capital, you don't make business decisions, right? So you don't make insurance decisions, right? If you're PA, you make political decisions. So like everybody on the board is a constituency of that plan. Okay, that's not how Humana works. It's not how United works.
Right.
Even the federal government knows they can't run an insurance plan. Right, so if you're a federal employee, you have a menu of different insurance companies you can choose. They know they can't do it, but we try to do it. And then what's happened over the years is when it started, the idea about PA is we're going to cover the state workers and the teachers. Okay, and then after a while we said, well, come on in county, come on in city, come on in nonprofits, and all of a sudden we got about 200,000 people, West Virginians, that we cover. And so whenever you are dealing with this subject, it's not just a employee benefit problem. It's not just a financial problem. It's a political problem. And overall, and then one thing we do that always prioritizes everything else is the politics of it. So what I think we have to do is we have to shrink it. We have to get it back down to just state employees, just teachers. Take care of our employees. That's what it's for. And then everybody else, over time, can go do their own thing. Cities and counties used to be on Blue Cross. They used to be with United in West Virginia 20 years ago.
Yep.
But we do that over and over in West Virginia. That's how Brim loses $100 million a year, right? We don't do just cities and counties anymore in state. We do nonprofits, and we lost $100 million last year.
Larry, we're just about out of time. Safe travels for you today.
Thanks for the opportunity.
And 15 seconds, if you want to find out more about the Hope Scholarship, how do you do that?
Go to the West Virginia Treasurer's website. June 15th was the last day for next year, so we'll be totaling up the numbers. Be able to tell everybody about that next week. So good time for Hope Scholarship. A lot of changes there. Hopefully next time we'll come on, we can talk about that.
Thank you.
See you
Have
soon.
a good day. We are back with more after these.